Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jim Gallarda. I'm a program officer with the Gates Foundation, and I have the distinct pleasure to introduce this morning's session. So I thought I would start out things with a quiz. This is a diagnostic quiz. And if we are today at point A and point B is success, what are the links in between point A and point B? Any volunteers? There has to be somebody. No takers. You might think this is a trick. Well, okay, so it depends on where your perspective is. So if you're an IVD guy or an IVD company, a company who is making diagnostic tests, you might look at this problem as point A is where you've got some creative research types, and they've got lots of ideas on how to identify the next biomarker or the next great platform. And then in the normal course of doing IVD development, then you've got the guys who are wired for product development. Of course, you've got regulatory, quality, manufacturing, clinical, sales and marketing, and service and support. And at the end of the day, being a for-profit company, you have to have a return on investment. So this is how a manufacturer might look at point A and point B. So success is my shareholders are happy. Well, a country would probably have a different perspective. So if a country says, look, we have some kind of healthcare problem, and we've got to do something about it. So we've got to get some funds. So we may commission a study to see, well, how do we tackle this? How do we develop a budget, and where can we get the funds? So they might identify the budget to address the problem. Then they search for funds, whether it's Global Fund or World Bank or who knows. Then, okay, you secure the funding, you start the program, you measure progress, and you're making progress on solving the problem. So this might be a country's NTP coordinator view of success. Well, the healthcare workers embedded in that system have particular needs as well. So you can say, well, do we have people to do this? Not a small problem. What are the incentives? You know, I was reminded there's this cartoon I used to read called Hagar the Horrible. And Hagar was complaining to his wife Hilda about the troops. This is an old Viking guy. And she was asking, well, what's wrong, Hagar? And he says, yeah, they're just always complaining. And so they were talking, and so his wife asks him, well, what do you pay them? And Hagar says, pay? So healthcare worker incentives are something that need to be addressed. Recruitment, education, training, and proficiency, all needs from a healthcare worker's perspective. So this might be success in their eyes. Well, what about the patient? Okay, the ultimate stakeholder in this. Well, they go through a journey, right? They might feel sick, they seek care, they find care, they receive the treatment, they initiate that treatment, they remain compliant on that treatment, and success at the end of the day looks like, okay, they're better, right? So this depends on your perspective. So now there are both supply and demand stakeholders. And I've been at the foundation for 3 years, and I've seen more technological innovation in 3 years than I saw in the previous 25 years. It's unbelievable, the creativity and the innovation on the technology front. That is kind of a necessary thing to do, but it's not sufficient. And so I was talking to some folks this morning and for the past few months about, well, what about the demand stakeholders, not the suppliers, the guys who really are going to be taking on these innovations? And regretfully, there is not much innovation on addressing the demand stakeholders. So we're going to have some talks this morning to start to discuss this. And so the sessions for today are as follows. We're going to have Dan Laser and Palu Dahani talk about criteria for in-country partnerships. And I think this is a really cool story, and it's going to be a theme later this afternoon in the Assay Development Working Group, where not only is there innovation in the technology, but there is really early thinking now for addressing the demand stakeholders' needs. That is, the local country has skin in the game. There's a what's in it for me for the country. This will be followed after that talk. Claudia from FINE is going to be talking about beyond diagnostic accuracy, improving TB health outcomes. So this is the patient, very much a patient-centric view. There will be, in the afternoon, the Rapid DST Consortium Working Group sessions. So these are 3 sessions. One group is on assay development. Another is on enabling sciences and surveillance. So this is really from a company perspective, the technology innovators perspective that will be these working groups often address. And then finally, Barry Kreisford is going to wind up with the molecular basis for drug resistance versus susceptibility. This is devil in the details dissection of how can we do a better job at identifying drug resistance and the implications it has on assay design and development. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dan and Palu to come up and talk about Wave 80 story.